E3 2019 has finished up with all its presentations. We had a big pile of announcements from new releases to massive updates or roadmaps for current games. There was an element to this year's E3 for me that came off a bit stunted. I'd argue the feeling came from maybe Sony not being part of it, while at the same time it's clear many titles are kind of waiting to be released on the next gen of consoles, which we'll be seeing tons of at next year's E3. However, this doesn't mean there wasn't big announcements this year, gameplay and lots to talk about, and so here's my top 10 best games shown at this year's E3. Starting at the bottom of the list, it's number 10, Doom Eternal. Goodness me, the showcasing for this one lasted a whopping 15 minutes for one game. That's a long time for one E3 presentation. We got not one, not two, not even three, but 4 specific trailers for this game in one presentation. I don't think I've ever seen that at an E3 before, not on a main stage like this. We got story info, level design showcasings, raw gameplay trailer, and a new multiplayer game mode, the battle mode, an absolute feast for the Doom players. Look, the game itself, it obviously looks great, it's Doom. The gameplay of the previous 2016 Doom was so spot on, satisfying, and intense, and it just looks like, you know, more of that, but improved, with lots of new ways to approach the gameplay. The new multiplayer thing, battle mode, has one player fighting 2 others as the Slayer himself, while the other 2 are working together to take him down as various demons. It looks good. You didn't have to do much to make me think this Doom game would be a good one, but they really went all out this E3. I'm looking forward to Doom Eternal. Moving on to number 9, it's Final Fantasy VII. Square Enix gave us tons to digest in regards to Final Fantasy VII's remake this year. Visually, it's stunning, wonderful. Final Fantasy VII was my favorite Final Fantasy experience. I remember so many random moments from the story that weirdly, I feel like I shouldn't spoil in this video or reference, even though the original game's been around, you know, a couple of years. God, I can't wait to experience it again as an adult. You know, I figure it'll be a whole other level of appreciation for that game. Naturally, it isn't actually the same game. We're playing an updated version of Final Fantasy XV's combat and movement, so it's going to be very different in regards to gameplay to the original, but I like that. I'm going to get to experience these characters, the story again, which is great, but from a whole new perspective, not just a visually improved version. For example, the boss battle with the Scorpion tank with the room going all red was so scary and intense as a kid. This is a whole other level of crazy though. It's got boss mechanics to play around with, so I'm pretty stoked. We got to see Cloud in action. God, I love that sword. Barrett with his ridiculous Gatling gun hand, and Tifa herself looking pretty incredible, although possibly a little bit too thin. The sort of red glow to her actions does it for me. The plaited skirt to allow for agile movement. It has even tiny skulls in between each parting. That's insane detail. I'm very happy to see proper gameplay of this at last, and a release date was even better. Number 8 was a surprise, is Chivalry 2. Just after Mordhau's released a spiritual successor to Chivalry, apparently Torn Banner is back to show us how it's done. There's that obvious original gameplay here. Everything just looks so good. The battlegrounds, the combat, the sound design was really nice in the trailer too. As long as they can take that original combat and add to it, similar to, you know, how Mordhau had, I'd be sold. I love these types of games. They can be serious and intense, skill-based fighting, or it could just be hilarious and stupid moments with friends. Not to mention the potential for tons of different game modes or mods. I'm sure the Mordhau devs weren't expecting this. We weren't, but of course, I'm happy to see it. I'm looking forward to seeing more of this one and hopefully soon. Next up is number 7, Halo Infinite. I struggled to place this one even this high on the list because though I'm really happy for the trailer, you know, that we did get, I'm also really salty about it. Last year we got the original teaser, and this year we kind of were hoping for, I don't know, gameplay or story information. What did we actually get? Well, a pretty useless cinematic trailer where the Chief is shown kind of getting ready to get back into the action. It's nice to watch and see, but after one teaser, I don't think we wanted to wait another year for another teaser. But what can you do? It's launching when it launches, which is with the next gen of consoles, so it's just not going to be coming this year, whatever the case. It's clearly still in development, and that's fine, I understand. I really wanted gameplay. I'm very excited to experience Halo, and a new Halo at that, on PC, finally. I haven't played a Halo game since Halo Reach, and I can't wait to dive back in with a mouse and keyboard, with a pile of friends, play the story, or spend hundreds of hours in the online modes. It's going to be great. Gameplay, please. Number 6, GHOSTWIRE Tokyo. Alright, yes, the creative director for this game, I'm sorry if I mispronounced this, Ikumi Nakamura, was unbelievably cute and wholesome on stage. She was amazing, I love her, but that's not why this game is on the list. Though she was awesome, her game genuinely looks fantastic. The concept is that all around the world, people are suddenly disappearing, right? Literally, they're gone. Like, look, they're just gone. And no one knows what's happening. And you're trying to uncover the truth, wade through the conspiracies and save the world. You're going to be encountering ghosts and spirits. You're going to encounter friendly ghosts, maybe not some so friendly ghosts as well. And the characters in the trailer look really interesting with their designs, very spooky and interesting. The designs are dope, the story is fascinating, and there's clear passion for this project. I want to see more. I'm really happy about this one. Speaking of happy about games, what is my life? We're already at number 5, and we're talking about Minecraft Dungeons. I can't believe I'm saying this. Minecraft Dungeons looks like a Diablo game, right? But, it's in Minecraft. The visuals are so nostalgic for me. I haven't played Minecraft in a few years, and yet they look kind of pretty impressive. The combat somehow uses elements of Minecraft, such as the fishing rod here, to great effect. The levels look fun, the combat looks great, even the inventory looked neat and well designed. Playing a new Diablo-style game with friends is something I'm up for and have been waiting for a little while, right? And this is a Minecraft variant of all the things that kind of do it for me, which is madness. Everyone I was in call with at the time shared my shocked interest for this one. Are we crazy? Does this look good to you? I think it looks brilliant for some reason. Now we're getting into the real deal. It's number 4 for me this E3. It's Vampire the Masquerade 2. The original came out all the way back in 2004, which is a little while back, and that game both scared me and fascinated me. This was, and well, still is, one of the best RPG games of all time. There was so many ways to approach that game. Each playthrough could feel completely different. The characters, the story, the world, they were all award-worthy, even if the gameplay wasn't top tier, which it certainly was. When we finally hear of a sequel being made so long after the original, I was kind of left with mixed feelings, It's hard to live up to something that special. Look at Duke Nukem. Thankfully, from the gameplay we got this year at E3, I must say, it does look promising. We've got the same elements of varied gameplay with tons of different choices that have big impacts about what we're going to do, and those implications each choice will have on the story, and all the different ways you can approach the gameplay. The visuals and music are going to be stellar here, and that gameplay is looking crisp. The world is just as fascinating as it originally was, but now it's updated and seemingly more open to you. So here's hoping my overhype and big hopes for this game don't sully my experience with the actual game when it does finally release. I wish the best of luck to the devs. I hope they knock it out of the park. Number 3, oh god, yes. The Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. Dude, I thought this was going to be an expansion DLC to Breath of the Wild, and that would have been completely fine. New story, new land, more awesome gameplay, right? But no, it's going to be so much more than that. It's an entirely new game. Now, yes, this was just a teaser, as we saw Link and Zelda go down into the depths under Hyrule Castle to discover the very dead body of Ganon, or not so dead, he's totally a zombie. We know the original 3 can't be destroyed. They're just kind of like reincarnated into different generations, successors into successors. So, of course, Ganon isn't truly defeated at the end of Breath of the Wild, right? But this is a little different. His body literally comes back to life in the current timeline, during the same age as the same Link and Zelda we played in Breath of the Wild. So this is a bit of a new direction, like a genuine continuation of the previous Zelda, rather than, let's say, a new story, new world, new setting, new characters. I'm very happy about this. Breath of the Wild was one of my favorite games ever, period. That game was a journey that I just didn't want to end. To find out that it hasn't makes me very happy. And this direction was pretty spooky and scary too. Pretty intense for Zelda, which, yes, has had its horrifying moments in the past, let's say. But something about this trailer just turned it up to 11. Maybe it was the music and sound design. All we know is that it's in dev and it's going to be at least another couple years. But hey, it is happening, and I'm really happy about that. Now, come on, if you know me at all, you knew this was going to be on the list. Maybe you even thought it'd be number 1, which is a fair assumption. My number 2 is Elden Ring. Are you kidding me? Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin working on a game together. What timeline are we in? Is this some sort of fan fiction? Am I asleep? Oh man, what a concept. The trailer showcases a man forging something, assumedly this ring in the title, right? And it's generating light every time that he keeps hammering at it. While the process of creating this ring destroys his own body. The trailer itself shows different places, characters, concepts in that tried and tested Soulsy way. It's a beautiful trailer. The voiceover tells us throughout the trailer that we can't even imagine it. The thing that commanded the skies, the Elden Ring that was shattered and the sky burns. Miyazaki gave us a really great interview sometime after the trailer was revealed to answer some basic questions. Miyazaki answers a question about the development of this game, since, you know, it's clearly been in development at the same time as Sekiro, which has already come out. And he does let us know that he's done this before. He bounced between projects, you know, obviously took charge and made sure everything was, you know, in control and his vision, but he would bounce around projects, like similar to Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. It's still going to be a third-person action RPG, very Souls-like, with boss battles and very challenging gameplay and RPG elements, specifically leaning really heavily into those RPG elements that we kind of missed in Sekiro, as you're playing one specific character that kind of always ends up with everything at the end of like a playthrough or two. And we're going to have a bit more customization again to create our own characters. He actually tells a fun story about how Martin was brought on, how he's just a big fan of Martin and wanted to meet him. And when he did, he realized that he had to work with him and asked him if he would like to work with him on Elden Ring, this concept that he was putting together at the time. And I guess Martin was happy to do so. So he's super happy about that. He's like a fan of George R.R. Martin, which is great. Not to mention, in this interview, he does confirm that this is going to be an open world game. The first open world from Software Souls-like game that we're going to get to experience. I'm obviously really happy about this. It's not a surprise that we're getting a new Soulsy type thing from Software, but so soon and being worked on for so long already was a surprise. And in a couple years, I cannot wait to play this game. Again, open world Souls-like? Yes, please. Now it's time for honorable mentions. I brought on Dino and Rage to have a quick chat about some of the announcements they were excited about before my number one choice. Okay, so for the honorable mentions, we have 4 titles we're going to talk about. First one that I'm going to bring up that wasn't on my list that could have easily been in it, which surprised me, was Watch Dogs Legion, which is Watch Dogs 3. This game, I think, surprised all of us with the fact that you can play as an old lady who can just, like, absolutely crunch everyone. But I would say that the thing that most excited me was the fact that the world, the characters, the story, especially the characters, actually looked interesting this time. Actually looked, you know, like there's some variety here. There's a lot going on here. And the story could go in any way. And you kind of get to choose which way it's going to go with who you choose to, like, play as and work with, I guess. What did you think of it? Do you think it's going to be a good game? I don't know what you guys thought of, like, Watch Dogs 1 or 2. Exactly.
I played both. I was really excited for 1, actually. It was one of the games I've been the most excited for ever. It wasn't. It was disappointed, I would say that, but it was still an okay game. It just didn't do what I wanted it to.
First one was bad. The second one was okay. So I guess this one will be all right.
I feel that the first one was a huge letdown and people got really hyped. And then the second game was actually a pretty good game, but we all kind of, you know, that shadow of the first one ruined it.
I actually played 2. I quite enjoyed it.
With the exception of Helen, I'm not that excited. Okay,
fair enough. So Dan, I want to talk about Star Wars. This could have easily been on my list, but I actually, in hindsight, kind of got mixed feelings about it. I think it looks like Force Unleashed 2, but updated with some different stuff and obviously different inspiration. The way he was deflecting definitely reminds me of Sekiro, not that I think it was direct or anything. I think it's going to be a fun game, but I guess I had really high hopes for it, and maybe now I feel like, yeah, it's just going to be fine.
Yeah, I watched the video on the lightsaber combat, and all I came away with was, oh, is that it?
If you like Star Wars, it's going to be good, but you will be like...
Like, Jedi Knight Academy still has the best lightsaber combat.
I guess that's what I was hoping for.
We also haven't seen the, like, fully busted out the wall, like, high-end characters, and we aren't actually controlling it either, so we don't know exactly what's going on. But, like, it looks good, and it looks like it'll feel good to move. Obviously, I have very little idea what the story is going to be like, but I feel like it's a good enough vessel that I will enjoy playing through the game regardless.
I also don't like how painfully generic the graphics look. Like, they are the most cookie-cutter AAA graphics. It's like they just look like an Assassin's Creed game or like a Watch Dogs game.
I actually feel... I understand what you say that when he was doing, like, the climbing on walls specifically.
Yeah, that's the main bit that I saw.
But I would argue that Watch Dogs is that issue, not necessarily Star Wars.
I don't know, I just expected a little bit more pop from Star Wars, I suppose.
The third game I wanted to bring up was Deathloop by Arcane, the people who made Dishonored games. That kind of... I mean, we haven't seen any gameplay, right? So that's why it's an honorable mention and nothing more. But I trust that studio to make like really good gameplay, especially magic and melee combined gameplay. And then they've got this really interesting story of like these two people are stuck in this repeating loop and they both want to kill each other, but for very different reasons. And I'm like, who are we playing as? How is that story going to work? This is a really interesting concept, and it's Arcane, so you know the gameplay is going to be really fun. Did this jump out at you all?
I think it looks absolutely fantastic.
Did you play the Dishonored games at all? I know Josh played them a lot.
I love them.
I played Dishonored 1. I liked it quite a bit. I never got to Dishonored 2.
And then for the final game, Josh was interested in Gods and Monsters because of the Greek mythology. It's another one we've not seen any gameplay of. We just have the concept. It looks very vibrant, it looks very pretty, and it looks like you're going to be hunting monsters in sort of Greek mythology era, which you're just like a massive
Gods
sucker for.
and monsters. It looks like Breath of the Wild level pretty, but also mythology.
Yeah,
I don't
so
even care. I don't need the gameplay. I'm already bought 7 copies.
What do you think it's going to run on? Is it going to be a PC game, a console game? Is it going to be on Switch?
It looks switchy, but that's just because people associate
Maybe it's
anything
because
with
Zelda, because you said Zelda.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll be the usual every console and PC.
I don't think we're going to see any gameplay for another year, but I like the concept and it looked pretty. All right, and finally, for number 1 on my list, which is not an honorable mention, I guess it is honorable in its own right. I bet you didn't see this coming. If you didn't, I don't know what you're doing with your life in terms of gaming. It's Cyberpunk 2077. I think we all agree that this is probably, number 1 on like...
Check this out!
Exactly.
Project Red confirmed, right, that they're going to sell in their shop Cyberpunk 77 bomber jackets.
Oh my god. I'm going to have to buy one.
That is the number 1 bomber jacket at E3.
The game, Josh, it looks really good. The story
the bomber jacket
and concept looks really good.
In-game, you can buy bomber jackets.
Honestly, I don't need to say much. We all have just unbelievable praise for, CD. We love what they do. They obviously are very convincing with their RPG elements and storylines and characters from all the cinematics, from the gameplay we've seen. It looks
they have pedigree
phenomenal.
Of the wazoo. And everyone who's been lucky enough to see gameplay has come out and like Twitter being like, "This is just oh my god!"
There's a playable demo at E3 right now, and I'm sad that I can't play it.
Yeah.
The one thing most people say is just the world is the most realistic, populated, ridiculous thing they've ever seen, and that makes me like, I don't like sci-fi, but I'm so excited for this.
Main thing with this is like so many people who have never played it and know so little about it, just like everyone just has this general feeling of just this is going to be a masterpiece of gaming.
If it's even half as good as people that have seen it are making it out to be, it's probably going to be just one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Which Witcher 3 was too, so and it's going to be even better.
Having said that,
as
much as I think Cyberpunk's going to be an amazing game, number 2 and 3 on my list are pretty interchangeable. I'm excited for gaming, holy fuck, next year.
I really hope Breath of the Wild 2 is called Exhale of the Wild.
Stop. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
You're welcome.
You don't see a fat monster and your first instinct is go, ha, that monster's fat.
I am not using that, Josh. I am not using that.
That is literally what Josh would do, too.
I know.
So it's not even...
Just bleep me and put in, I'm not using that.
I can't.